In this video, we're going to integrate the data fetching for getting the puzzle in with the Hangman game itself to finalize the game's functionality. Before we start, let's go ahead and comment out our call to get current country down below. I'm going to leave that code in place as a reference, but I am going to comment it out to remove any unnecessary output related to the game. Now, what I'd like to do is focus on starting up the game the right way after we fetch a puzzle. There are two ways we're going to start a game. We're going to start a game when the user first loads the page, and we're also going to set up a reset button allowing them to reset the game, picking a new puzzle and starting with all of the guesses that you originally had. We can create that button right here. I'll set the button text equal to reset, and we're going to set up an ID for this button to give us a way to target it. I'll set the ID equal to reset. And now we have the two ways that we know we're going to start a new game. Once, right away, another time when someone clicks that button. So if I want to do something twice, we should probably take the logic for starting a game and break it out into its own function. And that's exactly what I'm going to end up doing. So right here, we're going to create a function we can call multiple times, const start game. And we are going to set this up to be an async function so we can take advantage of a wait. Right here, we don't need any arguments. All we're going to do is create a new game by setting a value for the game variable up above. Now, there are two problems with this line. The first is that we assign it a value right away. We don't want to do that. And the second is that it's a constant, so we actually can assign it a new value. I'm going to change that over to let, making sure we can assign a new value to game one. Now, down below, we can start by fetching the puzzle. So const puzzle equals, we're going to await a call to get puzzle. Let's go ahead and stick with 2-word puzzles. Then down below, once we actually have that puzzle, we can set game one equal to new hangman, passing in the two arguments it expects. The first is the puzzle, which we have in the puzzle variable, and the second is the amount of guesses we want them to give. And let's go ahead and have them be able to miss 5 times. So we'll give them 5 total guesses. So that is start game in a nutshell. We're going to add something else in there in a moment, but let's go ahead and start here. I'm going to also comment out the example for get puzzle, since we're now using that in the Hangman code itself. And down below, we're going to kick things off by just calling start game. So right away, we want to start up a new game, even if you've never clicked the button. We're also going to wire up a click event listener to call start game when that reset button gets clicked. We can set that up right here. Document.query selector, looking for an element that has the ID of, in this case, a reset. Then we're going to go ahead and use add event listener, and we are going to listen for a click event. And what do we want to do? We want to run some code when the button gets clicked. So in that case, we can do two things. I can either pass in a new function right here and then call start game on my own like this, or I can simply reference start game so that function will get called. Right here, start game, perfect. Either way, the start game function is going to get called when that reset button gets clicked. From here, we want to go ahead and make sure to correctly render both the puzzle and the number of guesses they have left. This is also something we're going to end up doing in multiple places. So we're going to create a little render function, const render. And all this render function is going to do is essentially what we're doing up above. So right here, we go ahead and we set the puzzle text content and the guesses text content. I'm going to take these two lines exactly as they have them up here and just copy them down below inside of render. Now, the last thing we need to do to start our game successfully is to call render down below. Perfect. So now we're starting a game right away. We're also starting a game when someone clicks the reset button. The process for starting the game is fetching the puzzle, creating the new game instance, and then rendering the instance to the browser. Let's go ahead and test out these changes by saving app.js. Over here, I am getting game one is undefined. Why am I getting that? I'm getting that because I'm trying to use game one before it actually exists. This is coming from some old code, so let's just go ahead and comment this out. We're going to rework this in just a second. I'm going to save app.js again, and now things are working as expected, just with our new code in place. So right here, I can see I have a few characters on either side. If I put my cursor in the middle and refresh the page, I can see that I still have 2 words, but clearly the new first word is longer than the old first word. So every time I refresh, we are indeed getting a random puzzle from the API, and this is a great first step. So at this point, the initial game is set up. What we need to do is focus on actually responding to those keyboard events. The code for responding to the key presses is something we've already set up. It's sitting right here. I had just commented it out to prevent the program from crashing as we were making changes. But now that our changes are in place, we can remove the comments, and all we're going to do is tweak things a little bit. Right here, we have the exact same functionality that we moved into render, so we can just call render instead. Now, when someone presses a key, we figure out which key it was, we register it as a guess, and we render the new content, the new puzzle, and the new guesses message. With this in place, we can actually go ahead and remove those comments and test things out. I'm going to save app.js and head over to the browser to play my very first game. I'm going to go the Wheel of Fortune way and guess a few letters at first. R-S-T-L-I-N-E. Whoops, I'm typing down below. Let's go ahead and click up above to guess those. And we can see that our guesses are indeed being registered, which is great. Out of all of the guesses I made, 2 were incorrect, so my guesses left is back down to 3. I'm going to go ahead and intentionally make some dumb guesses to trigger the end of the game. Right here, I'm getting our failure message. Nice try. The word was breaking news. If I go ahead and click reset, I do indeed get brought back to a fresh game. This time around, I am going to try my best to actually guess things right. Let's go with R-S-T-L-I-N-E once again. We actually got the last word completely on that, and I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably beer stein. Excellent. So there we go. Great work. You've guessed the word. And once we're done, we can choose to reset once again and be brought into a new game where we get a brand new random puzzle from the Puzzles API. With that in place, our little Hangman game is all done. We wire up the functionality over here, but a lot of the core code lives in either the Hangman class or in the requests.js file. And that's where we're going to stop for this section. In this section, we learned about callback functions, we learned about promises, and we learned about async await. We were able to make HTTP requests from other third-party servers, allowing us to access things like puzzles, things like country information, or things like a geolocation service that uses your IP to guess where in the world you are. Now, if you're interested in back-end programming and actually making your own API endpoints like the ones we've used here, I'd recommend checking out Node.js in a bit more detail. In this course, we just use Node to run some plain JavaScript features, but Node comes with its own set of tools for creating your own back-end. There are a lot of great courses that show you how to set up endpoints that return JSON like these ones, and those are going to allow you to set things up like data persistence, databases, user accounts, profiles, login, logout, all those great authentication features. All of that can easily be done by taking a course or two on Node.js. I also have one as well. I recommend checking it out and seeing if it's going to be a good fit for you. All right, that's where we're going to stop for this section. We now know a bit about asynchronous programming and how we can set up our JavaScript applications to rely on information not necessarily at our disposal when the application starts up. In this case, we request all of the information as the application is running. Now, that's it for this section, but obviously that's not it for this course. We're going to jump into the section intro for the next one. I'll see you over there.